Little sound check here. See if you guys can hear me. No. So, looks like James is the lucky winner for Eva. Go back to the leaderboard. I don't think he's here right now. There you go. All right, James got his ones from last week, and then I will initiate the one from this week. And boom, there you go. There's a fresh one. Yeah, because remember I was away. I wasn't staying up or anything. I was busy. I had stuff to do. Couldn't be part of that. No. No, we were actually running out to we had a family dinner, so I was able to start it, but I wasn't there to be at the finish. And I know how you guys, you want to make sure that, Ernest is not getting any more pip chips than he originally, thought. Oh, look at that. Ernest is subscribed for 3 months. I guess it is that time, isn't it? I'm in the house. Nice. I guess today is the day. Yep, there we go. In. All right, so what do we have that moved today? Obviously, the pound move. So a lot of pound. Mentioned before, Brexit. I think the last we saw was, let's see, Brexit deals inches near as key Boris Johnson ally threatens holdout. Okay. I'm not sure how his key ally holding out is getting inches near, but whatever, As I said, every day it seems like we get closer and closer and closer. It's interesting looking at Forex Factor. You guys can see down here, negotiators closing on a deal. Brexit will be delayed until next year, even if deals reach tonight, which I thought was interesting. It's like, what? So yeah, I think they're working on an extension to really get nothing done and just to drag this even further. Again, a lot of chatter in the EU bubble. Is Brexit deal coming as early as Tuesday? Like, and it's way too premature. And then there's this and that. I mean, it's like literally just dominated by Brexit. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, you have to thank Eva. Tell her that you're the lucky charm. He thought he might lose tonight, so he showed up early. Is that what it was? Yeah, that's funny. Um, but yeah, so again, that's why we're seeing so much movement in the pound. You can see as far as what happened today. Again, the average earnings index was down a bit. Besides that, really not a whole lot of news today. We had a bunch of different speaking, and obviously, German economic sentiment. Economic sentiment again lower, right? But again, it's one of those releases that it's not really super crazy as far as necessarily the mover. Like I said, everything is dominated by Brexit right now. Looking across the top here, you guys can see euro dollar's up only 5, right? Pound dollar big, definitely over the ATR for the day. Dollar yen 30, really kind of flat. Swiss nothing. CAD down 24, nothing crazy. Aussie 39. Again, we had some New Zealand news that actually sent this down as well. And Aussie numbers, same thing, minus 22, and then pound yen 189. So quite a large day over there for the pound. All right. Going into tomorrow. So remember, tomorrow this week is a special week. Okay. So tomorrow being Wednesday, tomorrow is not an oil day. You'll see no oil over here. Interesting. We're starting out with CPI in the morning for the pound. I definitely think this is an important number. Again, Brexit is the name of the game, but something like CPI definitely has the ability to move the market a bit as well. So we'll see how that kind of starts off tomorrow morning. 8:30 is going to be interesting. So we have CAD CPI, and again, currency traders, that'd be a CAD yen play. But just be cautious because retail sales is going to be kind of what dominates the 8:30 hour tomorrow morning. And why would that affect the CAD yen? Well, obviously because of the U.S. stock market and the indices, which would dominate the yen pair. Okay, so there are other ways to play that. You can play that in, there are other Again, you guys can see over here in the little CAD basket on the scanner, there are other ways to play that as well. So just different things to look out for. If you're going to play with other things, um, potentially you could play that with, I don't know, you could probably play it with like a CAD, maybe like the CAD Swiss, or maybe even EuroCAD. Maybe EuroCAD would probably be the safer one. EuroCAD or PoundCAD, depending on where we're at, depending on how deep you want to go, if you want to really kind of trade that release. And then 9 a.m. tomorrow, you have Garney speaking. So Carney speaking is typically pretty important when it's at the end of the day, the trading day for them. Again, 9 a.m. is the end of, kind of the end of the day for them. So I don't think he's not going to be the one that releases anything about Brexit. So we don't necessarily have to worry about him being the guy. Um, I don't know. He's not the one that we need to worry about. So, well, again, his speech is going to be in reaction to what's it called? It's going to be reaction to CPI, basically, kind of overall economic factors, not necessarily Brexit, but we'll see kind of how that one comes in. Just be a little bit cautious around the 9 o'clock hour about what's really going to happen there. And then the rest of the day, really not a whole lot until tomorrow night. Now, tomorrow night is going to be a big night. It's going to be right around chart school time. Unemployment change, unemployment rate for the Aussie, I do think that's going to be pretty big, and the reason why is that's their non-farm number. We've seen the U.S. as well as Canada both drop 0.2%. I'm not saying that we're going to get a 0.2% drop in the Aussie, but again, you know, never know, right? I mean, stranger things have happened, but it would be kind of funny if it did drop 0.2 as well. So we'll see kind of where that one goes, but it definitely has the potential to be a big market mover. With the other misses, I wouldn't necessarily be super surprised. If you look at the past, you guys can see last time it actually ticked up a little bit, so this is why I feel like it's not going to necessarily drop 0.2 like everything else. But if it does go back to 5.2 and there is a bit of an adjustment, then we'll see. But again, something like this always has the high potential chance for an impact. Okay. All right. Looking over the scanner. So here we go. So a lot of different things are, kind of in setup mode right now on scanner. It's because, again, we've had big pushes, particularly in the pound. I'll start there, kind of the middle basket right here. If you guys can see this one, you'll see a lot of things where they're sideways up confirmed or a lot of what? Uptrend setups, meaning that things are pulling back again, okay? And again, you're seeing that kind of carry over in the lower pairs. You're getting the sideways, downward biased. Again, they're starting to flip and kind of turn back down again, right? You would think, right? I mean, you can see, the pound and the pound dollar and pound yen, again, they were up, pound yen was up over 200 earlier. But again, very consistent numbers across the board. Large spike today. Don't be surprised. This, I mentioned this last week, looking for pound strength coming back in the markets, and that's kind of what we have right now. It's pound strength on the daily with pullbacks, and we're seeing this kind of sideways down confirmed. So we'll look at that. If you look over at the really the majors, really, right? You can see that the Aussie dollar, again, we know that it's coming back down from the New Zealand number. The pound dollar is over here as well. And then again, you're seeing obviously dollar strength, kind of a pullback right now inside of the dollar Swiss as well as the dollar yen. Okay, dollar CAD downtrend setup. All right, which is kind of interesting going into the news tomorrow morning. All right, looking at euro baskets, you can see that. Let's see, we just had some switching. We had euro yen and euro Swiss both in uptrend setups, and then euro CAD and euro pound in a downtrend setup. Okay, again, I've been calling for a pound strength again, and you're kind of seeing that now. Jumping across over to the Aussie pairs, you can see Aussie Swiss is technically an uptrend setup. We typically don't look at that one. We can kind of look at it right now if you want, although it's definitely pulling back. It's got an anchor break on the 1 hour. And again, the pre-setup phase for the 4 hour. Let's see. And then also over in the Canadians, you can see the Canadian pairs, definitely some movement as well. An uptrend setup in the CAD Swiss, CAD Yen, Pound CAD, which again conflicts with the other two being the base and the quote switched. But again, pound strength is kind of the name of the game right now. And then EuroCAD downtrend setup, which we talked about from the Euro basket. Again, New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD sideways down confirmed. Okay. Again, second, we have a green candle. These are going to be looking for pullback areas, which again could lead us tomorrow into good news. So they are possible ways to play them tomorrow if you want to play that CAD, the CAD news at 8:30 in the morning. All right. Oh, hold on, a bunch of things came up. How come my first icon is gone? It's there. I see it. Down over 3 months, it says first. Not on my end. Oh, it's back. I was getting salty there. You like that first icon. It says first again. should be your third, right? It says first, so I'm not sure. Or maybe it knows you have a lot. Well, I don't know about that one. It's a good question. See, they don't know. So, all right. So, but overall scanner showing a lot of different action tonight. Again, if you guys don't have it, look at the link at the bottom, the bit.ly/KTS scanner at the bottom, or you can go to keeptradingsimple.com/scanner. Don't forget, there is a 14-day free trial with it, so definitely go try it out. If you guys figure out a way to use it correctly for something that matches the schedule and the times that you're looking, do it. It's definitely something that I've been using more and more and more. And again, it's kind of freeing up some chart space. I didn't use it when I was traveling just because I didn't really have 2 minutes to do anything on the trip. But again, today it was nice to have it back up again. I definitely found it helpful, especially when you have this many pairs up. Okay, you'll notice again what I kind of keep my pairs limited. Eva kind of looks at more pairs and it just has very, very fast analysis in the way that she does things. Again, just a little bit different, really, again, it's to each his own. This is an easy way to have as many pairs as you possibly desire up on your screen all at one time without just seeing a bunch of little tiny charts that you're trying to look for an icon on, right? So it does speed things up a little bit, all right? But definitely take advantage of the free trial. And if they put it up there, it's supposed to be there for 14 days. Take advantage of it, use it, okay? All right, let's jump across to charts, okay? So starting over on the Aussie yen, okay, you can see Aussie yen actually had a trigger, hours ago. And we actually, if you look at this box right here, we actually just hit the profit target right here, okay, right there would be your profit target. And we literally just hit it within the last 30 minutes. Switch that. All right, so this was a pair that was set up early this morning. Okay, you guys can see we had been talking about it really kind of bouncing off this upper area, right? And we had an area of basing. Okay, this was back over in here. This was Monday morning at 3 a.m. And we ended up just barely kind of tweaking off this one, right? This was a level of basing here. You can see it on the 4-hour, a little bit more difficult on the 30-minute. And it came down, kissed it, and then started to rally back up again. So it didn't quite make it back up to the same zone. It got up into this range in here before it kind of ran into some problems and started to pull back down again. And it was starting to go into consolidation period where we didn't go as high, we didn't go as low. Again, it got stuck down here in these ascending candles. Again, love this pattern. Okay, huge fan of this pattern. And then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock this morning, boom, price popped up again. Okay, and at the 11 o'clock window is when we hit that same zone that we've been talking about before. Again, slightly lower than what we saw in the 4-hour. We had this one little nice drop, and again, this zone was established using the sideways basing level, and then this large push down from Sunday. Again, extended range candle after a base, you got to mark that off. And it was about a 6.5 pip risk. As you can see, it came back down and we literally just hit the profit target minutes ago, okay? The total on this one that your profit was going was about 40 pips. Again, risking 6 for 44. Not a bad kind of risk to reward ratio on that one. Actually, it's a little bit more than that. It just did snap mode there and about 46. So 6.5 for 46. Not a bad way to start the evening off and having it hit literally right when chart school starts. Okay. Where we are now, again, we're sitting in an area where we saw previous buyers. I'd be cautious about holding this much longer, especially because, again, this most recent news move in the last, kind of hour and a half, actually a couple hours, I guess, at this point, has been New Zealand based. Again, it's really kind of looking for an area where we're going to start running into some buyers. It's for looking for somewhat of a retrace. It just, that's what it is. So again, this is an example of a parabolic retracement. Again, spiked up during the day, retraced back again throughout the day, and now again, it brings us to where we are now. Things I'm looking for in this one, I'd like it to get a bit lower. If we can get to this lower demand zone, I could potentially be looking for some longs. Again, last time we saw it down here, it was a pretty quick kind of movement back up again, spiked down, and then again, it initiated this kind of move all the way up. So definitely a buying area below. And again, because we barely grazed this zone, it only went a few pips in. This is still going to be a valid entry before kind of the larger end of the kind of rock and a hard place, right on the 4-hour, the lower box as well as the upper one. And again, I can move that here if you guys want, so you can see a little bit better. Okay, there. I'm going to change this though. I'll change the color to there. Okay. Along those lines. Okay, so those are kind of the two areas that we were boxed in between. And again, area before it got front run by a position or by a zone on the 30, drop down, hit full profit target. Okay. All right, let's look at New Zealand, Aussie New Zealand. Okay, now again, this one you guys can see. Look at this. You see this, you're like, whoa, huge movement. Yeah, I mean, there was some pretty big data. Okay, it went right, again, spiked up here at, news was at 6:45, but you can see the 7 o'clock one is where it went up, grazed right along this area. And again, that was at the very, very bottom of this wick. Now, actually, here is the actual bottom, and you guys can see it just went over a little bit and did the same exact thing. Okay, now again, this zone was a bit bigger. You may not want to take it on this one. I didn't necessarily like it over here, but the technical setup is still the same. Rallied back up, shot because of news into a zone of sellers, and boom, collapsed right back down again. Pretty nice sized run, right? This one was able to drop down about 91 pips had you traded on this pair. But for me, I didn't necessarily like the setup as much. This is quite a bit of risk here, right? You're talking about 30 pips of risk, and I didn't like the fact that the red was actually, on the higher end, right? The red was the high point, okay? And again, that was Monday night, super late, all right? Where we are now, it's a little interesting situation, right? I mean, we've watched the spike down. Okay, you guys can see it down here. We've watched the spike down, and we've watched it retest back up to a level of basing. It is descending, so it is kind of one of those, should we, we'll be interested in taking a continued short on this one. Problem I have with this, and it's easier to see over here on the daily, okay? You can see that we kind of had this top section above the blue line, but then where price rallied and kind of smacked down to down here was in another buying area, right? So, in essence, here, I'll just move this one, even though that's a pretty nice area. If we have this as our kind of bottom side, we still have this on the top side. So, you're kind of sitting there like this, if you wanted to, kind of be fair on both sides. Where price is right now, we're kind of smack in the middle, right? So, kind of those, I guess, could we potentially be coming up to grab more orders? Yeah, we could. That's definitely possible. And in this case, it's worth about 42. Your risk on it though is going to have to be about 23. Yeah, it's going to be about 23. So it's only about a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio trade. Risking 22 to make 44. And I don't know if there's probably better odds out there. I think it's also going to get slower now that the news is kind of retraced. So best opportunity, not so much. I mean, is it something you could trade? Sure, if you wanted to, if you really needed something to trade overnight. I just don't think that, again, it's already kind of pushing back down in that zone. So I don't know. I think it'll go down, but I don't know if it's the best risk reward ratio trade position. Okay. Looking at the Aussie dollar. Okay. Now again, Tues was not Aussie dollar based, but again, this pair will also be affected by it. And again, pretty healthy kind of push to the downside, right? Impulse correction and then impulse, very, very strong move. As you can see on the 30-minute, it's not quite there. It's moving. It's within what, 12, 13 pips of reaching all the way back down again. This one was not as clean. Obviously, the Aussie dollar is a little bit more insulated. Obviously, it's more involved with gold as well as U.S. numbers. But again, you can still see the continued weakness to the downside. The dollar strength in this one, like we've seen in the other two. Now, as far as the setup goes in this, this one's a little bit harder. We're still technically, I guess we're technically not in an uptrend setup anymore. If you're using the scanner on this one, because of the gap, this one is being thrown a little bit off, but that's why you should always know the strategy as well for this, right? And again, it's more towards the lower time frames, not necessarily the larger time frames, but again, it is somewhat at an anchor break situation. And again, it's being thrown off because of what we have. So right now, can you say we're trending? I'd say near term, obviously, yes, we are in a downtrend on the near term. But as far as overall, we're really kind of getting to an area down here, almost where this blue line is, down here at the 71.13. It's an area where you're going to have to be a little bit cautious, right? I mean, it's definitely at the bottom of the curve. It's kind of at the lows. We've seen price hit down there before and then attempt to go down lower and get, push back up again. So is there a really great trending market in this one? Not so much. I really think of these three, I really like the Aussie yen the most. That gives us the best setup. And again, right now, where are we? You can say that we're in an anchor break situation, to the downside, right? Price is collapsing below the anchor. Obviously it's not sideways. Prior it broke out, and again we were in an uptrend, but now it's an anchor break to the downside. So obviously, definitely a bit bearish on this one with potential short positions. Okay, looking at pound Aussie. Now this one should be pretty obvious, right? I mean, Aussie's showing us weakness across the board. Pound's been showing us strength. So what does this one do? This one is literally like a spaceship going towards, the moon, right? And if you look, we just broke above a previous high. Okay, we had a previous high. You know, here was the kind of the distal line, right? You can see we just broke past it. Okay, you guys can see, look at it. We just pushed above, and we're now basing on the top of this line. So we're really kind of in a telltale area to see whether or not this is able to hold here or if this is going to start collapsing. Beyond this, you guys can see it's been a long, long time, right? The last time we were back here was June 2016. So it's been a long, long time. And we're literally at the top of this single wick against the wall. So the next time we really have anything that's really just, something that I would say, hey, I like that area, would really be kind of the explosiveness situated really around this base here up into this area right there. And again, is this the freshest zone? Not really. I mean, here's the first bit, right? If you look to the left, okay, here is the first established zone. So although there's a lot of movement off of here, we may want to actually adjust this just slightly higher and say, hey, listen, if we're looking for fresh, new things, we may say, that may be a little bit better of an area. And again, little touch, based off of this kind of sideways movement. Again, you guys bring it all the way back. Going, we got a bit to run. Definitely some more kind of upper potential, but besides that, looking back, see this dark line here. Sitting in that racetrack. So again, on the 4-hour, you're going to see some zones in there, but again, smooth sailing. This is a huge candle back in 2016. Okay, but if we're looking for clean's going to be at 198.60. What? 198.60. Okay, and we're at 189.53. So again, needs to have a bit of a bounce. But if all of a sudden Brexit come through, can it jump that much? Probably. I mean, look, it did it in this one day here. This one day was what? A lot of pips. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. You see what that says? 1694. So lots of movement. It's a big one. Yeah, I mean it definitely has some room around, but we'll see. So like I said, if anything, if we start to see a flip now, we've seen, we're literally right above where the last prior zone was. If we start to see kind of a bounce and flip again, that could definitely lead us to somewhere, grabbing some more orders south on this one. Just be careful. This sucker can definitely move. Yeah, the reason why, James, is because Brexit is typically larger, because it's a first-time event. It's never happened, and it's come to fruition. Only the most high-level zones are what's going to hold. The lower-level things are not going to necessarily. Because here's the thing, it's going to change things on such a huge scale. Large money has to readjust itself based off of what it feels. So typically, again, zones are typically retail trader emotional reactions. The problem is now the banks and the institutions and those are the ones that are reacting right now to emotions to position themselves so they don't get burned because of the whole deal. So it's, like I said, a little bit different of a situation. Okay. The big money is the one that's scrambling. Again, we can kind of get into these things and play retracements, and again, playing it on a lower time frame. Right now, it's literally a guessing game, and that's, again, you got to be careful with it. Again, only use the highest level quality zones. All right. Now, with that being said, like some of the other yen pairs, again, this one didn't do much until, again, you can see the pound kind of came online, right, at late night on Monday. Okay, just was really kind of flat. All right. All right, let's jump across the euro pound, because again, this is going to be where we're going to be spending the majority of our time on analysis right now. Okay, you guys can see, again, really, since we came back up to retest that sell level, this thing has been literally straight down. Okay, now this play, you probably missed it. I was hoping for it to come a little bit higher, although it did not. Okay. Yeah, I was really hoping that we'd get that, for a long time. It just didn't. With that being said, this was one of the gap plays from Sunday nights. Okay, if you guys are not following these Sunday night gap plays, again, it's your own fault. Okay, I was obviously traveling, I didn't do it, but here's your 30-minute window. What did it do? It gapped in the direction of the current trend, right? Trend was pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, establishing trend, popped up, came back, retested the zone, and boom, 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 all the way up. And again, could you have used this level? Yeah, but the wick wasn't the best. This would have been your level for targets. You would have shot for here, and bam. Okay, I could put this a little bit. There's flat. Okay, so you guys can see, went right above the move again. This zone, 3 candles. It was okay. It was close and it kind of gapped into that, so not necessarily surprised. This one, it was all wick behind the wall. The red was higher. Wasn't super concerned, but had you used that, you still could have got out there. This one had a very, very tiny risk. You're talking about 13 pips, right? First profit target, if you really wanted to use that one, would have been here, and it would have been 50, which is totally fine, risking 13 for 50. Or if you'd use the full target, which, ended up triggering Monday, was about 74, okay, before it hit and turned to the downside. So again, Sunday night gap play, watch this thing drop and tank through the floor. Where we are now, again, you're going to have to start looking on the larger time frames and looking left and saying, okay, we're at 86, right? Price is right here. Oh, there is a little bit of a base there, right? You guys see it? Up, sideways, and up. Again, not huge. That's kind of the area we're in right now. You can see prices already pulled back from it, right? If I place this right there, you guys will see, boom, look at that. It's exactly where we turn around on, okay? And that's based off of a daily level. So there is obviously sell orders put above. You guys can see the single wick against this wall right here. So you can see prices been pulling back. What I would do is probably box this off, right? Mark this area off here. And let's look for some type of a push below, some white space, and take a momentum trend breakout to the downside. Okay. That's what I think is probably the most prudent at this point. I'm definitely not going to be looking to go short the pound right now. I just think that it's going to have more continued strength. So that's really what I'm focusing on. There we go. That's it. I don't think I'd mess with that anymore on that. Grabbing zones on the top side are a little bit difficult because literally you can see the wicks start here, 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 and they're all descending wicks. So there's definitely areas of sellers in here. So to me, it looks like the price wants to go down, wants to continue to go down, and we'll see, how many orders it needs to be able to punch through the zone. And we'll see. Now, with that being said, the CPI number in the morning would have the potential to kind of pop this up a little bit if it gives us a very kind of weak pound news. Because like I said, with Brexit or without Brexit, it's going to be the same. It's really, again, that's not a change. That kind of shows the current environment that they're in. So that could potentially give us a little bit of a pop. Okay, so that's about the one caveat to this one. All right. Yeah, it's about the only thing I can see tomorrow that's going to really kind of be an issue. Or tomorrow. That's all I see. Look at Euro yen. Hey, you guys can see Euro yen, obviously uptrend confirmed, right? Again, we had a bit of a pullback, price continued to push higher. And this is a situation, we talked about this last week, right? This would have been on Friday, actually here on Thursday when we broke through. I didn't do that when Eva did. Again, we broke through the level, and you guys can see it. What did we do? We broke through, kind of pushed higher, got some white space, pulled back down again, and then launched ourselves back up again. Now, didn't hit the original top of the target. It actually pulled back and then drove through. And this morning, about 11 o'clock, is when it did hit the very, very top zone. And it did it in obviously parabolic fashion, right? Again, these two candles literally spiked up at 10 o'clock, hit. And this one has taken a little bit longer. You really didn't take any heat. It's kind of pushed about, I don't know, about 30% of the way through at this point. It's kind of pushed back down again. But interesting kind of format, right? Dropped and then kind of shot right back higher. So, again, this is a momentum breakout strategy. Okay, the break, the retest, and then the push forward. I mean, I would say I'm bearish at this point. I mean, we're still in that upper range. Would I jump into a trade now? No, it's probably moved a little bit farther, but I would have to say I'm going to remain bearish with this one. It's made one attempt up and pushed back down. It drove lower and lower and lower to get orders. You guys can see that on the daily. We had one lower, one lower, one lower here. And it finally ran into something and then kind of, again, it used news to push itself higher. Okay, it spent a lot of time down here. So, what's really to stop this from coming back down into this 119, 14 range? Nothing. And as much time as it spent down here before news, what's to say we won't put another low in? Again, got to be looking at the wick over wick, obviously. Okay, that wick over wick is established. This should be blue, but we'll leave it at blue, which is going to be sitting right here. Okay, what's to stop us from coming down and hitting that zone? I don't really see a whole lot. Okay, so just be cautious of that on the downside. Okay. And I'm trying to think, I don't even know. I mean, because it's coming off a high level supply zone, I don't even know if I necessarily take it long. I'd have to see, kind of what's happening near that time. Ideally, I mean, if we can get us down into that range before one of the major news releases, that may not be bad. This is a pair you can play with U.S. news, like tomorrow morning at 8:30. You could trade this against core retail sales, and again, is it going to be the best move of everything? not bad, but it's definitely going to move the U.S. Stock indices for the day, which is going to affect this pair. Okay, give us a little bit of a bounce. So I don't know if it's possible that it can retrace tomorrow by that time tomorrow morning, but not a bad little setup. But it's already moved a bit too far. If you're already short, you're probably good right now. Again, trail your stop on the time frames. Make sure it doesn't come back and cost you any money. But again, if you grab that short, that is good. But again, it's really just a momentum breakup. Momentum breakout completing is what you should have been. All right. Let's look at euro dollar. So euro dollar and core retail sales will definitely be kind of movement. And here's the thing. So the core retail sales number should be pretty interesting tomorrow, and here's why. Okay. Obviously, we have euro weakness, right? More or less across the board. We have pound strength across the board. And, this morning, what we saw was kind of dollar strength. Oh, excuse me. Tomorrow, going to this number, as you can see, it's kind of jammed in here, right? I mean, it's not really. What's the trend? What was really the trend today? I mean, it was really bouncing back and forth, right? We had some zones marked off. Again, these are old zones that are coming back down and respecting it again. At 10 o'clock this morning, again, we have the bounce that we saw, went right back up into kind of this 30-minute zone, and then more or less just kind of, pulled halfway and then just stopped, right? Is there a trend? Not really, right? I mean, for 3 days, we've been kind of stuck in the same exact area. So I don't really think that the euro has really been, kind of commanding the markets right now. I think it's been mostly the pound on the other side. So, if we have some good dollar numbers and you see this one spike, this definitely has the potential tomorrow for some type of retracement. And I think that's how I'm going to play it. Like I said, with bodies being basically non-existent over here on the daily, as well as the 4-hour, I just don't really see a lot of trend right now. And again, if it's not trending, I'm going to play different levels of strategies. Okay. But again, rally down, pull back up, and we're back to the same area. Had you taken the short, trying to get the retracement, again, you're up a few pips on it. Um, hasn't cost you any money. Again, if anything, you got stopped at a break even with a no trade. Okay. But nothing really super crazy you're going to have to worry about on this one. Okay. So I don't necessarily love this one for tomorrow. And again, Forex Factory in 24 hours, this one is minus 2 pips. Minus 2 pips right here. Okay, so really nothing, right? Nothing in 24 hours. And again, looking back to Sunday, Monday and Sunday, same thing, no movement. All right. Going across to Euro Aussie. All right, so interesting situation on this one. Okay, so we've pushed up again. We had a little touch. We pushed up into again. This is from way back over here. Okay, lines. Actually, this was a profit target that we had talked about a while. But interestingly enough, this is kind of the distal line, and we've just pushed above it on this pair. Okay, the next time we see clean selling is actually a bit higher than that. It's going to be up into this range. So price is currently at 163.90. If we get up into 164.10, about 20 pips from where we are, it's bringing us into a daily level of supply. Definitely an interesting situation because, again, large push up in price. Okay, a lot of this was initiated. Again, some of this was from the New Zealand data, right? Again, so that New Zealand weakness. Again, Aussie follows. Again, same pop. Again, we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely looking for shorts getting up into this zone. And it's interesting enough. Again, here's where the zone was really formed, right? The big push off kind of came in this area. To take it a little bit more conservative, I'd probably say. And probably use this kind of piece right here, this level of basing at the very, very top. Although, again, it's a zone. Technically, it's a level on top of a level. But there's one zone there, as well as this zone could also be used. So there's really kind of two different areas depending on how aggressive you want to get with this trade. When we do get up in that range, I'm leaving the dot and the line where they are just because they are alerts for me. I want to see what form below that zone. Did it come straight up with news? Did it base a little bit before? Did it grind into the level to see if there's a potential kind of short for me there? I think it, again, if it's a spike, then yes, I'm all over retracement. If it grinds and there's basing right before that zone, I'll probably use one of the higher zones. I won't take the risky kind of first entry. I'll take one of the higher entries higher, or probably the upper zones, this one or potentially this one, but most likely the farthest zone up. I'm also going to be looking for a confirmation on the lower time frames that we do have a color change reversal to the downside. All right, that's what I'm gonna be looking for, depending on how we approach that zone. Okay, but again, that's going to be an alert. Again, if you guys don't understand how to do alerts on your machine, definitely shoot me an email about it. I'm currently not doing it because I don't trade live over on IG. I'm still at Oanda, but again, IG has the function where when you set the alerts over here, okay, you set the alert here for a price level, right? Not an indicator, an actual price level itself. If you have the IG app on your phone, it will actually shoot that alert over to your phone as well. Okay, just kind of an easy way to do it versus, something like MetaTrader 4 where, there are ways to send it directly to Texas, but I found the most, the kind of most, I guess, reliable method is always just to send yourself an email if you have a good, reliable email. Okay. Uh, Again, trigger yourself on a line break and send yourself the email. Okay. All right, jumping across to pound yen. Okay, you guys already know what direction pound yen is. It was basically straight up today, although it's now retracing back a little bit. You guys can see it's kind of pulling back. On the daily, again, high. Okay, last time prices here, you guys can see this one is not as far back, but we're talking about May time frame, right? And there's a couple different levels of basing in here. This is one where the pound was just really just getting degraded every single day, pushed lower and lower and lower and lower. So, interesting enough, again, you guys see a pop here, okay, at 7 o'clock this morning. You've seen a lot of other pops. Um, Again, this one did not retrace, right, all the way back down again. Okay, this is obviously a parabolic burst, popped up, kind of retraced back down again, but we never really got a confirmation entry in this one, even on lower time frames. Price came down a little, went sideways, and then kind of went up again, right? Failure to go higher, and then started to kind of rotate and roll down. Okay, now again, we're still sitting on that ledge, I would say in this case. With CPI in the morning, if it doesn't move from now till then, in a couple hours from now, this could definitely be an interesting place to take a short and, run this potentially back down into this 137.08 area. I mean, that's where the initiation of the move was, right? Before the 10 a.m. spike this morning. It's holding, it's not going higher. It's definitely, if anything, it's been grinding kind of to the downside. But you can see really, since that burst that early this morning, these two candles, by 11 o'clock, we're at the exact same spot. It hasn't moved in 10 hours. Okay, it's been kind of staying in that same exact range. Typically, when we see that, it's run out of gas and it's waiting for some, kind of more fuel to be thrown on the fire. And again, CPI could be a little bit more fuel on that fire, but I think if anything, it's probably a bit more of a retest to the downside. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. Trying to think if there's any really great levels. I mean, this is not a bad level here, this base, right? Nice burst off of that one. Again, the basing level down here between 11 and what 3? I mean, it's from last Thursday. This kind of area, also not a bad zone that you could potentially play. So a couple different areas on the 4 hour. Like I said, at this point, I think we're just trying to get a confirmation that we've put the top in, have a bit of a retest to the downside. But like I said, I'm all about pound strength right now. I think the more and more we hear about Brexit is close, Brexit is close, Brexit is close, all it's going to do is bring some more strength back to the pound and kind of retake over what they'd lost. But I mean, you guys can see like when it's stretched out like that, this looks like a huge opportunity, right? I mean, when we have something, I do think we'll be pushing back. Targets on this would be 137.11, about 140 pips from where we are now. Looking at pound dollar. Same basic picture, right? Price is pushed up. Last time price was here, you guys can see we're kind of over here at these levels of basing, right? Here was your single wick. Here's a touch, touch, touch. Again, this would be the fourth touch here, but the last time we were up here was June. You guys can see nice burst up. This one pushed down again. This one did the same thing, right? A little bit of a push down, and then boom, kind of did that kind of follower effect. So identical situation. Again, looking for this potentially to trace back down again with CPI number. Targets on this one, again, probably over in the 126.50, about 100 pips lower. So not 140, only 100 pips to the downside on this one. If price does stay up in here, again, this may be worth taking, something a little bit farther out of the money. Take maybe a cheap mid-X strike that you can get your hands on. Like I said, I think knowing what we heard, anything is going to have to be short term if you're going to take it in a bearish direction. I just don't see anything falling through tomorrow. I think any extension in Brexit, which again, that sounds like that's what's going to happen, is they're agreeing that they're going to extend, I guess, which is, like I said, I don't think it's going to be, a finished anytime soon. Actually, interesting enough, one of the people that was at the wedding this weekend is actually lives over in the UK. And I asked her what her opinion on the whole thing was. She actually, I guess, was born in Beijing and has lived in the UK for quite some time, went to school and stayed. And I was like, so what do you think? I've been following it. Is it real? She's like, I don't think they're going to be done until a little at the last minute. And I was in agreement. I was like, that's so funny. I said the same thing. Um, you know, literally until it's at the very, very deadline, um, there's room to negotiate. You never win it's like playing chicken, right? You can negotiate until the last possible minute until you're not ready to blink anymore. Why would you give in? If it's that easy to make a deal and you get everything you want before the deadline, what the heck have we been fighting about from the whole time? You know, there's obviously some type of sticking point, right? Or they're just playing games with us, which they could entirely be playing games. Now, one thing that all in this pair, guys, if you guys did play this one from this weekend, okay, here is one of the Sunday night. Okay, about 16 pips risk on this one. Again, here's a level of basing, right? So in this case, here, there's your target one right there at 84 pips. Okay. Again, that would probably be the best one. It's pretty clean, right? The other one we had kind of two a little bit farther out. This one's pretty clean. I mean, that's about the only place you could be looking to shoot this. But again, well over the 3-1 risk to reward ratio trade from Sunday night. Okay. All right. 16.7, we'll just call it 17. 17 pips risk for 84 in the opposite direction. Did it go lower? Sure. I mean, it did come down and almost tag this bottom section here. You guys can see it's super, super close. But for me, obviously, this is a very easy base kind of pullback area. Not get too greedy again. You're over 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio. You want to go for that last one? Sure, go for it. Just don't, risk losing everything else at that point. Okay. Um, Not a bad one, right? And again, that was the near term direction. Okay. And again, inside of a pull. Um, Again, where I take this one, same thing, downside. Looking at pound New Zealand. Now again, this and interesting enough, this one obviously is pound strength play, but now we also have on top of that the other week. I did see this one did pop down slightly. You can see over the last five, a bit of movement, right? If we take up 996 pips in 5 days. So quite a large bit of movement, right? If you're in that trade on the positive side, awesome, great job. It went off an area that we thought it would. Didn't give us the cleanest entries on the top side. Again, it respected these upper zones one time each before they broke. This bottom one, again, we remember this. This is the rock on the hard place area, right? Uh, right? We're talking about this line here, this line here. We went up, we hit it, we went up, we hit it, we up, hit it, and then boom. That's when we broke out of the top. And again, one large candle up, bit of a retest. And again, it didn't even do it off a zone, which is kind of crazy, right? It did, I guess it did come back and touch this one, but starting to get a little bit sketchy at that point, right? And then just off to the races. Okay. Again, with Brexit, a little bit more of a dangerous pair. I mean, figure 996 pips in 5 days. Two of those were over the weekend. You're talking about 250 pips a day. A big movement, right? You can definitely blow an account up if you don't, have the correct stops. And, again, you're not kind of covering your risk on this one. I mean, it's great if you can say, hey, I made 996. But at the same time, that thing could have flipped and, very easily could have gone the other direction that much. Okay. Yeah, 8 pip spread. Well, you know why? I mean, James, look at it. Look how much it's moved, right? I mean, here, let me pull the ATR on it. Yeah, your ATR right now is 198 pips a day, and that's over 14 days. And you can see, did it move 14 all these days? No. So this is a 14 pip ATR, right? Let's see. Let's take this and drop this to, let's do 6 days. Okay, you can see the ATR is 236 pips. So that would be why it's so crazy right now. And again, got to be a bit cautious with that one, right? You see the average on this one is about 160, so it is definitely a higher ATR than even the pound yen. But man, when it moves, it's gonna move. Don't want to be on the wrong side of that one. Okay. Again, I'm a much bigger fan. I mean, like this is like a pair that like Rob gets into and then forgets about it for like a week and a half. You know. He's like, oh man, I made like 900 pips. Did you know you're making 900 pips? No, I didn't even look at it. I didn't even know. And it's great when those trades work out. Okay. All right, looking at New Zealand. Okay, New Zealand did have a bit of a news trade. Okay, this was an easy setup. It's about 6 pips risk and ended up going. Actually, you can see it went even farther. Again, we went to the conservative first target at 25. You know, risking 6 to make 25 is 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. It continued to push lower and lower and lower, and actually went even a bit lower into this kind of wick over wick section down here. So, was there money left on the table? Sure, there was. But again, large spike, 645. What did it do? Pop right up into a zone. The first fresh one would have been this kind of drop over here. It dropped. There's a touch, barely touched it again. And again, new spiked in the very, very upper end of the range. So had you mark this one off, bad trade. Okay. Parabolic retracement to the downside. And again, the ATR on this one is very small. Okay. You guys can see just that single wick candle right there was worth about 40 pips. Okay. Even with that included, you guys can see the ATR on this one. And again, I'll take the average in here is only about 50. That spike is because of little talking about really a 3 pip ATR, right? This is a 6 pip ATR, and it moved 40. Okay, so pretty telltale sign that hey, something just happened. No, Rob doesn't check his trades every 5 minutes. Rob doesn't even really look at anything. I think I talked to him earlier today. I think he's basically at this point he's on like the monthly and weekly kick only. He does like 5 trades a month now. He's been staying busy. He's been doing well. He said to say hi to everyone. Got a new girlfriend that he's pretty serious about too. I love Rob. I like Rob a lot. I've known Rob for a number of years. That's as one guy, no matter what happens, no matter where the guy lives, if he called me on the phone, I would always come help him. Love that guy. So yeah, so this is a New Zealand setup. You guys know I don't trade New Zealand a whole lot, but again, even if you don't look at a currency pair all the time, when you can see a high impact news release, it's a pretty telltale sign that hey, listen, you should probably go check this out. And you guys know the type of risk levels I like to take. What would I probably most likely be willing to take this on? Aussie yen or Aussie New Zealand? They kind of move in the same, kind of motion. So is that probably the best? No. Would I take it on the pound New Zealand? You could, but that's a lot of risk and a lot of movement, and I'm not necessarily into that much risk if I don't have to. And then you have the New Zealand dollar, which typically doesn't move a lot, but when you get something that moves, 8 times its or 5 times what it's actually it's almost 8, 7 times its ATR, then yeah, it definitely would be taking a small risk of 6 pips, make it 4-to-1. So again, you got to find your opportunities when you see news there. Again, strike, look for it. Okay, forex factory, it tells you in red that it's going to be a high impact news release. Take advantage of it. Okay. I see him peeking in the chat today. He went green. Yeah, he was online for a bit. Yeah, he tries to keep up with. Like I said, he's super busy. So he tries to stop in and check it out, see how you guys are doing. He always asks me, he's like, "Oh, what's going on? Who's doing what? So he's trying to keep up with everybody and with the group or whatever." So, all right, so that's New Zealand. Where we are now, again, it's at this point, it's kind of on the daily, we've bounced off a buying zone. Okay, if you guys see over here, we came down, we hit this on the 4-hour, pop right back up again, kind of almost came to the top. So again, it's kind of it's basically sideways. It's the news event is gone on this one. It's sideways movement. There's really not a whole lot you can do at this point. And again, could I have taken more out of it? Sure, but again, there's only so much you can do, right? And again, you could have gotten what an could have got an extra 15 out of it. But again, the rule for me is the start of the initiation of the pop. I just got a ping in pound New Zealand. Oh yeah, yeah. So okay, so you retrace the news. Basically, you did this, but on the pound New Zealand. Yep, yep. And again, looking at the two earners for me, could you have done it on the pound New Zealand? Sure, absolutely. But it's kind of for me, it's the one with the bigger risk or the one with the less risk, and I always go dollar Swiss. The funny Rob and I did talk about this today, which was pretty. I was like, yeah, I was like, I was like, I don't cover this one too much. He's like, yeah, I never look at that one, bro. I was like, no, not really. I was like, although I say that, but there was one trade last week that the best setup was literally on the Swiss, and Ernest was hitting it all last week. So I can't really say that it was bad, but it was bouncing between kind of two zones. I'm like, you know how it is. It's like flat. He's like, oh, I know, it's so horrible. I was like, yeah, but there was a couple days last week where it was like the big mover, and it was literally bouncing between a channel top side and bottom side for like 3 days. So I can't really say that So it was just really funny. I was like, "You hate it too?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "But it did good last week, so I can't really be too mean to it." Uh, and and Ty actually made it. Ty stopped in last week. If you guys didn't see it, right? So the fact that Ty popped in, we can't really beat it up too bad. Hopefully, Ty's. He's been busy. He's got his little one is like, well, little one should be 1 right now, I think. So at the fun age, but you get a sick kid and you get. Hopefully, we will see Brother Ty back in here rather soon, one of the other originals. Um, it's always great when you see the originals pop back in. Again, guys, sometimes life takes you away, and I totally get that. Been there, done that myself, where life gets you away. It's just important that you guys come back. And again, Ty is he's like, yeah, he's like, I'll be back soon, hopefully. He's like, it's just been crazy. That baby was sick for a while, and so again, I won't beat up on Ty's pair. I'll have to tell Ty that I told him. Hopefully, I think he saw it in chat. I was like, hey, Ernest is keeping your pair warm for you. But Rob laughed about it. He's like, man, it's crazy. He's like, I can't follow it. I was like, yeah, I know. Dollar CAD's another one. Okay, so Dollar CAD, remember, oil this week is going to be on Thursday, not Wednesday, which kind of makes it a little bit funky of a pair this week. I know people are used to trading it. I don't love the fact that CPI is tomorrow at 8:30, like it's a joint release. It's kind of a strange thing, right? I don't know. I just think the market's going to be so dominated right now with retail sales and the dollar. You get that heightenedness of, oh man, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I mean, it's retail sales. It's big. Where price is now, again, we had that really big push to the downside. Ended up getting a confirmation. It did retrace about 30% of the way and then stop and kind of turn. And again, it's just laying on that kind of lower zone. You guys can see where the first initial push was here, and that's exactly where we're at. It really hasn't done much since this morning. About at 10 o'clock this morning, it was done. It basically stayed there all day. Um, Again, last week we talked about this umbrella. It's like, come on, drop, 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 drop. I told you guys, I was like, man, I just want this thing to go down. It faked this out and kind of pulled back up again. It's like, Jesus, just drop. And then it finally did. It came all the way back down and hit that 132. It actually went lower. It went down to what, 131.80-ish, a little bit lower than that. Um, and I was mad. It's like, man, it figures it does this when I'm not at the computer. Um, all week I've been calling for it, and then bam, Friday the sucker kicks in with the unemployment news, and it's like, oh, it's like seriously, come on. I was calling that all week, and then boom, right back down again. So hopefully you guys made money on that one. Somebody please tell me you made money on that one. Um, but right now, again, it's waiting for another catalyst. CPI may be, one way to play it tomorrow. I mean, there's hope that the core retail sales could come in exactly as forecast, and then it'll literally be a CPI number. But we'll see. I just feel like those two have the potential tomorrow to wash each other out. We'll have to play it. Okay. And again, because this is a kind of a completion of the original kind of spike that occurred back over here on October 2nd, I mean, we'll see where it can go, right? I don't think this is the easiest chart to analyze. Again, it's been a lot of time in this kind of rollover. You guys can see it. It's been a lot of time. So it's not really the cleanest 4-hour zone to the top side. Really, until we get back up here to like the 132.90-ish range. I mean, there's a little bit of a kind of a hiccup right here at 132.74, but really on top side, it's like not really a ton there. Downside, you guys can see there's, we've kind of bounced off of this purple, and that's where the dotted line came from. That's where it hit, right? If you guys extend, you guys see this kind of purple level of basing right here, right down here. If I put lines on that, you guys can see what it ran into, right? There's one, there's two, right? And I'll put another one over here. Okay. So this could be the zone or a trigger if you guys want it. A 131.50-ish. Okay, down in that area is the next time we really have any areas of buyers to the downside. So if we do have a spike down, that could potentially lead us for a reversal kind of to the top side. Okay, but we are putting a little bit of basing and really because we have a zone right here, even if we break below it, again, it's going to be a previously violated zone that we would expect to bounce off of. So kind of getting a little congested there, right? Definitely some congestion in there, which is going to make this analysis. Okay, nice. I got it. Thankfully. All right, look at the dollar again. The only reason I'm awake is because I just took like a half-hour nap. Told the kids, I'm like, why don't we jump in bed and you guys can watch a movie and I'll fall asleep for a little bit. So we watched like, I guess they watched 45 minutes of Star Wars. I slept for 30 minutes. And woke up. I was like, all right, you guys go to bed. I'm jumping on chart school. You guys, an hour and a half ago, I was like, Dad, I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it again. This jet lag has been real this trip. Let me tell you, like a sinus thing the entire trip too. So like every day it was like, yep, tired of breathing out of my mouth, and the baby had it too. All right, so this guy went all the way up and didn't quite get to where I was looking for the short. I was hoping that this spike would be a bit more, but it kind of just failed on us. And again, you guys can see what did it run into? Not really, but it's like I really wanted this to get to the line up here and be clean. They didn't. It's like, oh, just so close. Like you guys are, it's right there. Just why can't you just go a bit higher? I don't know. At this point, I feel like it's going to continue to grind back to the downside. Again, this is at 10 o'clock, 10:30 spike today, and then Lily just kind of did nothing. Right, once it hit 10:30 or 11 o'clock, it stayed there and didn't start to fall until what 5:30 p.m. and then started to kind of pull back a little bit. So kind of boring. We're definitely at the top of the range. I'm definitely more bearish in this position. Is there any zones that I love in this one right now? Not really. Again, not a bad pop, but that was that pop came back down off of this zone down here at 108.25. So it's kind of there. I don't know. This was one that I was looking at last week and was able to, there's a position on you guys you hear me talk about the quarters theory of the whole number trading. Uh, it's something that I've wanted to release for a while. Not finished. The deck's not. There was a trade set up in this one last week. Again, community in this few different setups here that I was kind of a secondary strategy. I don't trade as often. I have it on one of my actually I guess my Oanda platform is the one that has that, my MT4 platform. I don't use that one as often, but yeah, that's about the only thing that I had going on this one. Right now, it's just I'm more or less waiting for some type of a short, some type of a setup. Needed to pop a little bit higher. Maybe tomorrow with retail sales, that'll pop us up into this range. If we do get above 109.12, I'm definitely looking for some type of shorts. Ideally, again, that's the trigger. The zone you guys can see is, get a little bit large of a zone, but again, that's what we're looking for. Dial it down on the 4 hour. Yeah, that's the first one. That's the green one where there's this first zone here. Uh, so here's kind of what we're looking at inside of this pop, right? That wick over wick, which is those two zones. Obviously have a little bit here and here. And you really, to stay conservative, so something along that. So again, mark those three off, see where those spikes occur. Again, are all three of them valid? Yeah, they're valid. You'll see which one. Again, obviously the farthest one has the most risk. That one's what 140.00, or I'm sorry, 110.00. Again, they're at what 109.13, 109.50, and 109.98. So basically 110, 109.50, and 109.13. kind of looks like guitar strings. Good. But any three of those is valid on any type of spike to the top side. Right. I will show you guys Cat Swiss because this is one that if you guys attended this morning, this broadcast this morning, I ended up clicking on the wrong tab. I was trying to move some things around, and I was so in the habit of just clicking one next to it. So I ended up talking about the analysis and the pops on this one, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, this is the Cat Swiss." I was like, "Yeah, it is. You're right." But the analysis was basically the same, more or less sideways movement. Okay. Today we did actually get a pop from early this morning. We're just going sideways, 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 sideways. It did pop up, basically just went right back to the same highs. And again, these are 3 descending highs, nothing crazy. Went to the same area, and again, it's retraced in the last hour. So, you know, obviously in this one we were in a down or an uptrend setup, right? We had the green, we had the red pullback, and we did have a pop, but this is an area we've had buyers before. So, is it a strong takeoff point? No. Did it hit this little kind of basing area? Yes. Did it go all the way down into like the conservative zone? No. So again, nothing super crazy on this one. If you guys saw it, I just figured I would follow up. Just one of those pairs. Okay, so again, it is pushing up, although it's really not doing a whole lot. Nothing super exciting. But this is potentially a trade that you can look at tomorrow morning as well. Obviously, you're not playing this one on Nadex, but again, it is a playable. Yen. Now, I didn't get to watch. I did not watch Eva's presentation last week. What did Eva find any good setups for you? What setups did she put up last week? What pairs? I'm curious to see if they triggered today or not. All right, so similar situation. Again, uptrend setup, pulled back. Problem is it was pulling back and kind of shooting right into a demand zone. Here, you guys can see what do we have right there. Okay, that was the last time that we had an area. Again, uptrend setup into what? And not necessarily anything that we want to. We were all over the euros and the pounds. James, thank you for narrowing it down. I hope that you were long pounds, right? Hopefully. Because Brexit basically said, I don't care what you say, I'm going up. But I've been calling for pound strength, so hopefully you guys were. Yep, yeah, okay, good. Pound strength for a while. I saw it pop, I was like, there we go. Now she's rolling. Yeah. All right, so that's where we are sitting on the top side. Definitely a bit more bearish at this point. Looking for some type of retracement tomorrow. Again, that would make sense. If we have that weakness in there in the CAD because of news, that could definitely lead us to the downside. Or if the dollar, if the dollar beta is really good, the US data is really good, that is obviously going to help the pound. I'm sorry, obviously help the yen, which would strengthen the yen and shoot this thing to the down. So you do have that option. Again, it's kind of a dual release. It's kind of a hard one. Any other CAD news, this one is great to trade, but obviously any US based thing is going to. So just be cautious about that. All right. So with that being said, let's go over. I'll give you guys about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Who's not in there today? Okay, Josh is there. Let's see who's in here. Ernest is obviously not in yet. He's doing the sniper technique. I gotta go so I can do her quick. Yeah, it's fast. Or James, just get the scanner. Anything that's not, in that thing you're looking for, you're like, nope, nope, nope. I mean, it's fast, James. I mean, you can do it now. You're like, okay, do we have? Is it engulfed? Yep. Okay, nothing. Is this one engulfed? I mean, literally just click. It's taking me longer to click than it does in the analysis. Right? Okay, here. Is it engulfed? Nope. Is it a pullback? Yep. Okay, it's an uptrend setup. Although technically it's been anchor broken. But yeah, it's an uptrend setup. Again, practice the pairs. Here. You have green. Ignore the anchor. Is it engulfed? Yep. Sideways down confirmed. No. It's all the same. The next one. Click on the pound. What do we got here? Is it engulfed? Yep. Sideways up confirmed. Just practice, man. Just practice. There you go. 8 people in. Ernest is in. Hey, who's not here tonight? Where's Vic? Nick's not here. Got a couple people that are missing tonight. No, I'm working on your analysis quickness. Yeah, it's all good. You get it. You practice. I know it's not like those voodoo Fibonacci things that you draw, but that's okay. All right, close giveaway. Here we go, guys. In 3, 2. Wait, Vanessa, are you in here? Oh, yeah, she is. Okay, good. Okay, winner is. Oh my God, it's broken. James won 2 in a row. Man. Man, you guys know that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease? I don't know how it works out that way. But man, I'm going to mark that one as complete. Maybe that puts an end to his domination. Here, give James some more. Man, James is man, he's chips tonight. Man, look at that. He's coming up the ranks. We're gonna have to do another one of those gambling day. Thought you lost power. What? That was Ryan. What? Wait, Ryan lost power? I'm confused. What happened? What's my name? I don't have Discord up, so maybe he lost power in Discord. I'll have to check with him later. But I will report. Ryan is really starting to get it, guys. Ever since his mentoring session, he's been sending me a bunch of things, and Ryan's really starting to, gain. I haven't looked at Discord. Post a group message, right? Yeah, he's really starting to get it. So super proud of Ryan. Like I said, he's been putting the strategy. He's done well with it. Give him some props for definitely putting the extra work in. He was sending me messages on Friday night trying to clarify his zones and stuff. And again, definitely super proud of the guy. Love when the people put the work. He put it in Discord. You can tell he is by his comments. Vanessa, you're next to lose. Wait, hold on. You're next to do what? I just want to make sure I understand. You're next to kill it, or you're next to lose power. Hopefully, you're next to you're the one that's going to click and be posting all the big. I hope so. Mentoring. Oh, okay, cool. Absolutely, definitely interested. I love doing the mentoring. So, if he's on Friday, then he's getting it. All right. Yeah, he was. Yeah, Friday night. I was eating family dinner, and Ryan was sending me charts. First couple of people through. Ryan and I were on for like an hour, and probably put an hour or two minimum. Like I said, guys, I want to start getting all you guys funded. Building that funding board, and really, that's the funding thing is definitely a mission that I'm really looking to do in the next. Like I said, that's one of the reasons I was talking to Rob. That's a big thing. I want to have a board next year, with 100 funded traders that have gone through the process. All right. So with that being said, guys, it is 10 after 10. I am going to bolt. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I will be around in the morning, off and on. I'm still playing catch up. I have so much stuff that it's amazing how much stuff can happen in 5 days. So I need to get all caught up on that stuff completely. But again, see you guys tomorrow at Chart School. Thank you for coming tonight. I will catch you guys then.